Hi, it's Richard from Racing Profits Guides, and this is the second part of my Nottingham course walk videos. On this video we're going to walk around the round course. The first video, if you've seen that, we did the 6 furlong straight course, 6 and 5 furlong straight courses, the sprint courses at Nottingham, and now we're going to walk around the round course. If I bring in the course map again, I'll show you where we are. We're just down here by the finish line, as you can see, and we're going to walk the round circuit here. You'll be able to see just how tight these bends are. This end isn't too bad, quite a nice turn. Now this is quite a tight bend here, and you'll see that they've actually cambered the course to make it easier for the horses to get round this bend at the top end as they come into the home straight. But then you're looking at about a 4 furlong home straight once they enter the straight. So you can see why it's such a nice galloping track, because even horses that are out at the back have plenty of time once they come into the straight to get into their stride. So you'll see this track can suit front runners, it can also suit horses that want to come off the pace, and I think it's why it's regarded as such a fair track. Okay, so let's start the video going and we'll walk around the Nottingham course. You can see the straight 5 and 6 furlong that we just walked earlier, and then we'll set off around the course. Let's just speed this up a bit. Okay, so we start off around here from the stands, and then you come straight into this bottom left-hand bend. It's a left-handed course, as you know, Nottingham. Very, very flat, as you'll see. There's some slight undulations on the back straight, which has a small kink in it. But you can see here that you come around this, it's fairly tight as this bend at the top end of the course, but you come around it fairly comfortably. There's not too much of an issue coming around here. And just over this bank here is the River Trent, so that's how close the course is to the river. Although it does drain pretty well, it doesn't get too heavy here, but it's quite a high water table at Nottingham, so it doesn't take too much rain for it to get quite soft. So you can see here, this is the first straight on the back bend, and this is where we have the 1 mile 2 start and then the 1 mile 1 start, and I'll show you those as we come to them. You can see this white section of fencing just up here, that's the start of the 1 mile 2. So you can see as you come up here where the stalls are going to be, because there's always white sections at Nottingham in the fences. And obviously the 1 mile 2 on the outer track starts slightly further back from the 1 mile 2 on the inner track, because that is actually the inner and the outer track we're on at the moment. So you can see both courses running next to each other here. Even though that's on the outer, that is actually the inner track. As we have a look at the map again, you'll see why. So the inner track actually runs down the back straight on the outer, which is a bit confusing. But the outer track, it's called the outer track because that's the bit that's nearest the stands. So you can see that's the outer track there, which is what we're walking on here. And then the inner track is actually this piece on the outside. It's a bit confusing, but once you if you look at the map, it helps you understand that. So we come up, you can see it's nice and straight up the back here, and then there's this slight left-hand kink halfway down. And then you'll just see up ahead the 1 mile 1 furlong start, which is just here. That's the 1 mile 1. And then we have quite a long straight to that cambered bend at the end. Again, another good couple of furlongs up here. As we approach the 1 mile start here. This is the 1 mile on the outer and the 1 mile on the inner. And then you'll see on your right up here, you see a break in the fence. Well, this is actually the road that Freddie talks about in his interview. Freddie literally talks about the horses sometimes jumping this road here. And you can see that actually is the road that leads to the stable block over here. That's where the horses are stabled. So it's quite a long walk for the horses across from the stables here. You can see the road that we're crossing here. And as I say, it's quite a long walk for the horses, especially young horses. And if you listen to James Gibbons' interview that we've got on the site, you'll hear him talk about how far the horses have to walk before they get to the parade ring, the pre-race parade ring. And often if it's a young horse, they can get unsettled there, get a bit excited. So again, it's something to bear in mind with younger horses. Watch them when they're in the parade ring. Have they got excited? Have they got worked up on this long walk across from the stables? So again, it's just something to look out for when you're at Nottingham. And then we come down the back, the rest of the back straight here. And then we come into this sharp, very sharp left-hand bend at the top end here, which leads into the home straight around this kink. There's another little kink here. And then you can see it ahead. So there's actually two kinks in the back straight there. So just after the mile start and just after the 1 mile 2 start, there's a kink in the track to the left. And then you can see we're coming up here to this sharp left-hand bend that I was talking about earlier. Again, there's plenty of space, so it's not a tight track here, as in width-wise. You've got plenty of space to go around the outside if they want a bit more space. But you can see quite clearly how the course is cambered here. It actually slopes up that way. Now this is where, again, James Sullivan was talking about horses can often drift to the inside here, especially inexperienced horses as you're coming around this bend, because the course naturally slopes to the inside. Now you'll see in a minute that these rails can actually be moved in and out as well to make this bend either sharper or more gentle. You'll see Jane talks about it, the clerk of the course who I was walking around with this day. She talks about this fencing being easy to move. And you can see the camber here as we're coming round. We're coming now to join this the straight course that we walked earlier. That's the straight course coming in here, the straight 5 furlong on the inside and the 6 furlong on the outside. So the horses have come round here into the home straight. And there you go, you can see the 5 furlong start on the inner course, and then the spur that goes off up to the 6 furlong start. So you can see straight down there, that's where they'd move the barriers out of the way if they're using the inner course here, because obviously they want to have a straight 5 furlong straight down here when they're using the inner course through the summer. And then you swing round out onto the main straight here. You've got a good, well, that's the 4 furlong marker there. So you can see that you're probably talking about a 4.5 furlong straight here. So that's why even when the horses come into the straight, often the race won't start unfolding until halfway down the straight, when they're coming into the last 2.5, 3 furlongs. I think Freddie in his video talks about counting to 10 twice before you start making your move. And that's because of the distance of this straight. You don't want to hit the front too early and then get swallowed up by a fast finisher at the end. So it's all about timing and judging the pace of the race here. and how much horse you've got left under you. And then obviously they'll be staying to the inside rail as they come down here. A lot of them stay to the inside rail, or again, if it's drier conditions, they'll tend to go down the centre here. But when there's a lot of round races, you'll find that this gets slightly more compacted on the inside here because they're going round the round on it and they're also sprinting down it. So again, something to bear in mind when you're looking at where a horse is positioned in a race. And then you'll see that you come down here. You're approaching the final furlong now. Again, the dog track on your right. So this is really where the race is unfolding now. People are delivering their challenges. Horses that have been held up are now starting to make their move down the centre of the track. And the racing's unfolding here on the longer distance races. And then we make our way down towards the half furlong point. And then the finish line, we've done the full circuit. That's the furlong. You can see how long this straight is. It really is a mammoth, wide open space down here. I mean, horses are going to need plenty of cover coming into this before they go out for it. Delivered for the challenge, and then you can see the finish lines just ahead here as you come past the stands. And that's it, across the finish line.